Welcome to the third and final part of the flash photography course. The free flash photography course, because it's free and doesn't like free. I'm Dutch, I like free stuff. Probably you like free stuff too, especially if it's such a good course as this one. If you didn't see the first two parts of the course, I think it's good to go to those courses first, but if you already know something about courses and you thought, oh, I'm gonna check this part out because I want to know stuff about the things you're gonna discuss in this course, be my guest. I'm going to tell you about the techniques I'm going to use and how to apply the techniques. And we're going to discuss the photos I've made, especially for this course, and how you can do it yourself. What are you going to learn today? You're going to learn invisible flashing, flash movements, and colored flash. That's exciting, especially colored flash. If you want to skip everything and go straight into a certain technique, you can go to the chapter in the description. If you watched the first episode of this YouTube free online flash photography course, I ask you to take some photos and put it on Instagram with the hashtag or flashtag FlashyRoy. And I'm going to discuss if I'm also going to comment on your photos because I'm very curious of what you guys made, and the best photos I'm going to discuss them in my YouTube channel. And now it's time to do a little flashy dance and get started with the last part of this amazing free course. Free! Invisible flash, probably one of the most difficult kinds of flash, because you're using your flash to make a photo, but you don't want it to look flashy. I know it sounds a little bit strange, making a photo with a flash, it doesn't look flashy, but hear me out. Invisible flash is a way of flashing with a sort of fill light. So normally when you flash, your flash is the main light that creates the light. But if you're using an invisible flash, it's a trick of making it a fill light. So how do you make something a fill light? Well, the most important part of invisible flash, and I think a lot of photographers ask me how to do, if they ask me how to flash, they're talking about invisible flash. So the trick of invisible flash is in your camera. So setting up your camera the right way. So if you want an invisible flash, you first have to turn off your flash and first measure the light with your camera. So make sure your ISO is up, your aperture is right, your shutter speed is the right number before you start flashing. So the thing is, throw up your ISO. Make sure there's enough light in the photo that the photo already looks like it's okay, but it needs more oomph, and that oomph comes from your flash. And then you're going to use your flash, and you're going to put your flash in the lowest setting possible. And what you do, you flash against the ceiling or against the wall, or maybe straight at your subject, depending on the distance to your subject. And you're going to fill it in. And it depends if you're standing outside or inside. What is the dark room, is the light room, everything will influence your photo. So it's experimenting. But the most important part, use your camera the right way. Throw up your ISO and then fill it in with your flash. So let's dive into the computer so we can analyze those photos and how I've done it and how you can do it.
Invisible flash. It's a difficult one for a lot of photographers, but it isn't that difficult because you have to lean more on your camera. So this is a perfect example of an invisible flash photo. Whoa, sorry. When you shoot invisible flash, the trick is not to show the flash in the photo. So you have to lean on your camera more than your flash. So what you do, you set up your camera in a way that the light around the couple, everything looks fine. Not overexposed, not underexposed, and then you fill it up just with a little flash, a fill flash from your flash. It can be from your camera or you can stand next to the flash, but it has to be close to you, not too far away. It can be far away, but then you have to really be careful because it can give an unnatural feel. You don't want to have a natural feel. So in this case, the flash coming from this side to here, because you can see the shadow on our face, from, well, like this. So their faces light up. There's still enough light to show me that they're looking beautiful, but it doesn't feel like a photo that's been flashed, but it's been used a flash actually. And same with this photo, or I use this one. The flash comes from this side. Just feels like the normal light from the sky, but it isn't the light from the sky, it's the flash actually. And that's the trick you do. It's just it's playing around with your flash and your camera. And a lot of people lean on their flashes, but I would say you can lean on your camera more. And lean on your camera, just fill it in with a little flash, just like here. I could see from here that you can see the flash in here. You have to shop that out, Photoshop it out, but I just put a filter on it and that's it. I want to show you guys, so you can see here there's been a flash photo, but on their faces, on their coats, there's nothing to see from my flash. So set up your camera, give a little fill flash. If you got your flash on your lowest setting and still is too much light, just pull your flash backwards, like a meter backwards, or yard is the same. To check out if the light spreads more. Maybe use a diffuser. Just you have to try it out. If you go put your flash on your camera, then you have to be careful. If you go too close to your couple, you get a flashy look from the photo.
Flash movements, cool effects with your flash. And who doesn't want to have cool effects with their flash? So flash movements is about moving your body or the lens to make a certain effect with your in your photo. All about the camera and the lens. So you can do it by using a zoom lens. So when you're flashing and you turn the zoom, and while you're flashing you get a very like a warping vibe to your photo. You can pull it back, make a photo, or you can zoom in, make a photo. It's like flick. It is like a turn with your hand and press the button. Like it's like you have to synchronize your both hands to make that cool photo. Also, you can like stretch it by turning your camera, so or rotate it. Stretching is the wrong word, but rotate your camera. So while photographing, do like this, push your button like tick 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 tick, and you get a like a turning, like a rounding around your subject. And important with photographing those kind of photos, always at the middle of your photo is your subject. So keep you focused on your subject, then turn your camera, make a photo, and you get that cool effect. You also could do like a stretching kind of vibe. So you let your subject run, for instance, and you pull along with them, and then you start shooting. So if you pull along with the same speed, like following a race car like this, you follow them and then start shooting, they will be sharp and the rest around them will be unsharp. And a very important thing about these kind of photos is that you use your shutter speed the right way. It's all in the shutter speed. So too much shutter speed or too fast and they will freeze, too slow and they will be unsharp. So you have to experiment. But I think if you go 125 or 80, you'll be fine. But once again, it depends on the distance to your subject and also the light, the existing light and the flashlight. You have to use everything you learned in this course to make it work. Let's just examine the photos I made for this part, and I'm going to show you how to make those.
I'm going to start with my fashion photos because you get a lot of flash movements. So in this case, she's hanging on a rope, she's swinging, and while she's swinging, I'm following her with my camera. And the way I follow her and make a flash photo makes that she freezes in the frame, but everything around her is moved. So there's totally no Photoshop. The only thing that's photoshopped is the black and white edit. Everything else is just what it is. So there's no motion blur in the photo or something. Well, it's original motion blur, but not edited in. I got more examples for you. So what you also can do is make sure that the backdrop is moving and the model is standing still. In this case, the model is standing still. And I used like a very long shutter speed of 0.4 seconds. And the funfair ride is spinning around, so her dress is moving because of the ride. Her hand standing up, so it's of course has movement because standing still for that long is impossible. And again, nothing really strange going on. Then her face is sharp, and the rest is just moving. And also in this case, I didn't move in my flash, but the subject is moving, or everything around the subject. That's also a flash movement. So more examples, and it's rotating your camera when shooting. So it just looks really cool. So in this case, I always focus in the middle on my couple. And while I focus on them, I just rotate my camera while flashing. And that's why everything around them has a round shape and it's like a motion blur, and they are pretty much sharp. You can play around. In this case, I use 1/60 of a second. what's enough, I think. You can go 180s, but then it becomes more difficult. Like, I think this one was also 160. That did less movement, but still there's rounding and sharpness in the photo. It looks really strange, but that's the cool thing about these kind of shots. Again, I just make my camera rotate and I put my focus point on them in the middle. I use 2.8, that's quite high for the f-stop because you're losing sharpness because you move your camera. So I like to go to 2.8, sometimes 4.5. That's more a safer bet. But I did this a lot, so I know I can do it at 2.8 or even 1.8 also. I can also do it at 1.8. This case, the couple is running and I'm following them while they're running, and the backdrop gets a little bit blurry. But again, I did it 1/80th of a second. I just want to have a little bit of movement and freezing in the photo. I don't want it to be really obvious that I've used the flash. So in this case, I wanted to make the flash still invisible, but use it just enough to freeze them in the photo, so it has a cool vibe to it. That's how you make photos with a movement in them.
Flash. A color flash is really cool because you can use a color gel in front of your camera to make a really cool colored flash. It's just holding something in front of your flash and you'll have a color. If you would hold a beer glass in front of your flash, you get an orange color because the beer is orange colored, so the flash goes through the beer and you get an orange color. It's as simple as that. If something is translucent and you hold it in front of your flash, it will adapt the color of the thing you're photographing to. So you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. So a lot of times when people use a color flash, you will use just your flash separated from your camera, because if on your camera you use, for instance, a red or a green gel, everything in your shot will be red or green. So what you want is more like a maybe the light from the front a different color than the side from or the color from the side. So what you do is you put your camera on a separated wireless system. For instance, you put a red gel on it and you use in your camera just normal light, or maybe a second flash on your camera with just a normal light, and you get like a dual color photo. So the light from in front is just normal color and the light from the side can be red or green, doesn't matter. But you also could use, my photo of YouTube photo is actually a photo with two colors, like green and red. You can put a gel in front of the one flash, like red, and green in the other one, and you get like a duotone photo. So the only colors in those photos are green and red, and the mix of green and red. It's a really cool trick to really stand out your photos. I wouldn't do it in wedding photography. It's cool to do it once, but if you do it a lot, it gets kind of cheesy, I guess. But just now and then, just do these kind of cool things. It's really great to give your couple something different than what other photographers give them. So let's dive into techniques and in my computer and show you how to do it.
So color flash photos are probably one of the coolest things to show people, because people love to show off with color flash. It just has something so realistic. And it's cool to do. It's a lot of fun to experiment. And as you can see, I did a lot of color flash photos, but I just got a couple of examples. Starting with my fashion days, I chose a photo that's a little bit more decent for the internet, for the World Wide Interwebs. So in this case, what I've done, I mainly use two colors, and that's a red light and a green light. This photo I shot with 3.5. It's an old lens, back in the day, so I didn't have 1.8 lenses. I didn't have the money to buy them. I use ISO 1600, 1/30th of a second, because he's lying still, and I've always been someone that loves to shoot on lower, shorter speeds. Because I have a flash, I know I can get her eyes sharp, and I like that sharpness in the photo of the rest of it. So what I've done, I set up two lights. My main light was a green light coming from this way, and my other flash was from a red light coming from that way, to give that red kind of, well, erotic vibe, because that's what it is. It's just playing around. So what you do with these kind of photos, first you set up your camera on a tripod, think of how you're gonna compose the photo. Then you're gonna put on your main light. In this case, this was my main light to see if I like the light. And then I filled it in with my fill light, the red light, and that's how I made the photo. So the main lights in this photo, I set up my tripod again. One flash was just a main normal lights. So her eyes would be, and her face would be just normal color. And then I put on a higher up from the other side, a green light that comes from this way. That gives a little bit of shadow fill of the green parts. So because the other light, main light, is way stronger, it pushes away the green light, and the only place where the green light is visible is where the main light really wasn't that strong. So in the shadow places of that light. So going up photos we shot for this tutorial. In this case, I've used a red light and a normal light. So in the back you'll see the red lights. Here it is white in the photo, but it's actually a red light. A red light, and it comes from the back, so you can see everything around me is red. See the vibe here, and the light coming from in front of me is the normal flashlight. Also the same thing when I'm setting up. First I set up my camera on a flash. I choose the settings I want. In this case I chose a low ISO, 50mm, because you look good on the 50mm. 2.8, so I've got enough sharpness in me for my body. Then 1/80th of a second, because I don't like to go high up in the shutter speed. Why would I? Because I'm standing still right here. Then I put up my main light from here and make sure that the light is lit up perfectly. You can see it's a flash photo, but that's the meaning. I want you guys to see that's the flash photo. And you can see it's a flash, as you learned in the first episode, by these kind of things around my skin. That those points show that's a flash photo, those light points. Basically the same photo as the previous one, but you can a little bit see the flash still here. I did exactly the same, only I wanted to hold the camera, just why not. But now my main light is green, so I set up a green light from the front, and the red light I just put it a little bit more to the left. You can see in this photo it was still here because it was more from the back. And this photo come more from the side. So again, I set it up with my green flash. So I was like a Hulk green. And the flash from that side, I've made a little bit weaker. Just enough to give me some red details. So you get a green-red photo. The only colors in this photo are green and red. And everything in between. That's the only thing. And it's a very cool effect of a photo. So that are the color flash photos.
I have now learned you everything there's to learn about flash photography, I think. Because it's very difficult to make a course and think about everything there is, and I think I've covered everything about flash photography. And I can imagine you have a lot of questions. Feel free to ask them in the comments or maybe on my Instagram, my DM, it doesn't matter. If you have a question, just ask me. I'm glad to help you, because I was standing once in a place you're probably standing, wondering how to do stuff and to grow as a photographer, so I'm glad to help you back. Because that's the thing about photography, we are a community and we want to help each other being better. And I fucked a lot of stuff up, so you don't have to. So if you want to do the right thing, just ask me, because I did everything wrong you could do wrong, so you know how to do it right. The gear I used in this episode, or all the episodes, you can find them in the description. Also my beloved Profoto flash, because I love this flash, it's just a lifesaver. What more of my photography, post-processing tips or tricks, or behind the scenes looks, and check out my YouTube channel or my Instagram for the results of everything I do, because yes, it also has results. I'm not only talking in front of the camera, mostly I'm behind the camera actually making photos still, especially as a wedding photographer or couple shoots. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram with the hashtag, as we call it here, the flash tag FlashyRoy, so I can see your photos. I'm very curious what you guys made, and I hope you can make me proud. The best photos will be shown on my YouTube. I'm gonna make a separate video about those, because I'm curious what you guys can do with the camera and the flash. I hope you liked this course as much as I've enjoyed making it for you, and I hope to see you next time.